Oh, Sinclair! Oh, Sinclair! My Burgess Night is around the corner. And we're going to get an actual fairy this time around. And a couple of red shoes. And Philip is back. Philip is back as well, but that's not important right now. We're going to get so many fairies. It's gonna be crazy. We have Fairy Lantern with the fairy dress on Sinclair. We have the fairy gentleman on our Ishmael. Then lately I was also able to get what's it called? The fairy lantern on Cracker as well. Now if they would give us even more fairy themed ego suits, egos themselves, we could technically soonish make an entire fairy based team out of here. This is so crazy. As well as the shoes. We're going to get a bunch of shoes as well, and I think I remember that Ishmael and Honglu were the guys who were supposed to get the pink shoes, something. I remember that I saw pink shoes, yeah. Honglu is going to get a couple of shoes, Ishmael is going to get a couple of shoes. Not only are we able to get a fairy themed party soonish in the future, maybe, perchance. I mean, Titania, Oberon, they are very famous fairy beings. They could add them at some point. We might even get a shoe collection as well, which would actually work wonders, if you think about it, with the freaking wedding dress. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. Oh, I even thought about it. A white wedding dress. Rodion is going to get the what's it called? The red shoes. And in combination, she's also going to have a Kurokoma dress that would turn her into a husband. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. Oh, the future is bright. The future is bright for Limbus Company. I can already see it. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm just going to hope that my 20k of lunacy is going to be enough for that. The last time when I was pulling for Otis, I was at 30k and used up a bunch of it. And I barely managed to get her. And this time around, we have 2 announcers, in which case it's a smaller office, of course. If perchance we're lucky, we were going to get them as well. But we're also going to get 2 egos and 3-star IDs, so yeah, there's a lot on the table for possible golden glow stuffs. So in that regard, the chances of us to get everything is relatively low. But for those occasions, if I want to get a Kurokuma clan with the red shoes, it's a Rodion ID, right? I know of somebody who really loves Rodions. I'm going to count on him to make the best Kurokumo husband for the 5th Crackle. This is gonna be so great. This is gonna be so great, especially since I heard that Rodion is someone who usually carries around some very strong egos in order to set up ailments for the team. If she's going to get the perfect support bleed ego, that would fit wonders into our team, I have to say. I mean, we have the Kurokuma clan, we are a bit struggling with the uptype of bleed. If she gives us additional count, that would be a godsend. But that's something we have to worry about next week, right? After all, we haven't really found, or rather, we haven't really received any intel about the stats of them yet. And let's be serious, the rates. The rates are going to be relatively low. Okay, so where were we? What happened last week? Somebody screamed, right? Yeah, somebody was really angry in the other room. A warm reception. Well, we'll see about that, right? We will see about that. Actually speaking, wait a second, 37. Ah, so we finally have a battle around here as well. I was about to say, I mean, seriously, the last couple of chapters were all talk, right? They were just talking, building up the world around us. I was a bit surprised that they would start with 25. Of course, it only makes sense that they would increase the level at some point. But from 25 all the way to 37, huh? Wonder when they're going to reach up to the 45s. I mean, they did increase the level gap. They have to go all the way up there, right? The last chapter was 40. They have to go to that level. But I guess we're going to worry about that later. Right, Heat? Certainly. Now then. Okay. Which type of party is this? I see no table, no food. 2 guys who are looking at us. 3 guys in the shadows. What is that? Okay. 2 people sat by a dying heart, surrounded by their respective poses. It was quite apparent from the way they sat opposite of one another that their relationship was far from amicable. Yeah, they might not like each other? Something like that? Can we talk to the right one first? On one end, we have a group of people dressed in mysterious masks surrounding a jumpy-looking man who looked like he was one little nudge away from howling foul insults at everyone. On the other hand, there was a group of people dressed in identical uniforms. Sinclair told me that they were wearing the outfits that most Manor employees wear to each other. So the staff? One of them stood out, as he was the only one among them in a black suit. He appeared somewhat uncomfortable. It seems as though he was in a great deal of pain, merely by being here. And between the 2 groups were... Fixers! Oh, I recognize their outfits! For suit, they must be the Fixers from the OHHH Association. The purple guys! This is quite rare to even get a signing of a single OHHH Fixer. They required quite a momentous occasion to even grace us with their presence. Shh, shh. Hey, we have time to talk about Art of Crafts later, okay? Later, alright? I had to coax Don, who was practically quivering from immediately running to them for signatures. Come on, Don, keep it together. Not now. Because we had unintentionally become the center of attention from the entire room. The center of a very negative attitude. Oh. By gum, that vagabond has returned. The bloody shame of Wuthering High. Wow. Well, that's the same old Josephine, huh? Look it, I'm stuttering about like he owns this place. If our mistress were to witness this perversity. Gosh, Josephine, that's quite enough. Don't mind her, Heatcliff. The blessed land of Wuthering High, reduced to an asylum of vagrant and drifters. If the mistress had been here to witness this tragedy, the deplorable state of affair. What is wrong with that? Girl? Josephine? Boy? Okay, I don't know. I'm just gonna say girl for now. Yeah, the old woman! There was an old woman in the room who was muttering some choice word at us while staring with eyes full of hatred. Great! We're already doing a perfect impression around here. They're all going to like us, guys. Ah, the witless brigand returned. And quite delayed at that. How dare you show your face? Hindley, please, exercise some restraint. Heatcliff, I hardly did expect your return. You have yet to let Catherine go, still. It was clear that the 2 had been quite acquaintance with Heatcliff for a while. But the nature of that acquaintance was more of a long-standing hatred stemming from the deep history of contemplation they shared. What? One of the 2 was hardly hiding his hatred, allowing him to fully seize control of his words in action. But the other one's hatred had sunken deep into its heart, boiling and withering underneath. Right, I was exactly expecting a grand welcome upon my return. But I ain't here to see your ugly mucks. It's like you always said. My base nature is just incapable of changing, or rather change. Heatcliff shot back with just as much vitriol, as though he was always used to this kind of scorn and humiliation. The man in the black suit turned away, as though it would degrade him to even entertain him with an answer. But this man they called Hindley. You scutchel shit! You bloody animal! No, a thing lesser than a savage beast! What? Jumped up from his seat. His face turned bright red from anger. By the look of it, you found yourself a band of vagrants and vagabonds just like you, eh? Crawling back to see if there's something worth pilfering from this place. You lot, beat his asses and teach him a lesson. Break a bone or two. No orders from boss. Seriously, what is that? Some kind of boxing, wrestling mask? And the uniform is kind of patched together. Interesting. Shut it! I'm your boss! I hired him and the rest of you! I don't expect the boneheaded fools to give you so much trouble anyways. Head of bones? What on earth is that fellow speaking of? He's just expressing his explicit desire to get his ass beaten. Well, since he asked for it, right? Yeah. If he really means it, then I guess we don't have a choice. Let's see. Ooh. The slow dead that's how is that supposed to be a rabbit mask? I mean, I could see the ears, but everything else? That doesn't look like a rabbit. Well, what do we have here? Rapture, up to 10. 4-4-3, which is 8-11, even more rapture, and defense down. 5-5-13, if the target has rapture, increases the base power for FF3 rapture, maximum of 3. It can also inflict bleed and paralysis, and if this unit has remaining shield at the end of the turn, gain offensive level up. Okay, but if we don't attack him at all, it wouldn't really trigger the block effect. The thing is, this is a normal encounter, so I can't really redirect our attacks at all. It's you. You deal 10% more damage to targets with least HP. Okay, and the other guy with the extra ear. Rapture count up to 11. 13. If the target has rapture, increases the base offense level down. Okay. 8-12. If the target has rapture, same effect as the others. Inflict bleed and paralysis. And this one also has the... Wait, what? LD? Is it the same here? Oh, they share their guard thing. I see. I always need to make sure to read their attack titles as well. Since sometimes they hide some messages in them. Hurt, extend, armor break, cut you in half probably. And this guy has break, weakness, hurt. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay then, let's see how our rates. 14 is good enough for a start. I need to make sure to break through the defense, so I'm going to go for the strong move. 13 is good enough for a start. 14 is good enough for a start. I need to make sure to... then again, we have 2 targets for that guy, so I guess we can go for a little bit of a weaker move. Let's save that for the next round. And we could inflict a little bit of point drop for the next turn. Sure. Okay, let's go for this. Oh no. Oh no, Gregor. Oh no, I'm seeing what's happening over there and I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, nobody was able to get the offensive upgrade. He got the coin power debuff. Gregor. At the very least, I didn't lose the sanity, but still. I would have preferred a different result. 11-11 is not so good. That's just doable. You have a coin power debuff, so I can pretty much win with paralysis as well. Gregor, please win. That's on hit. It has a decent chance of working, so we're going to try it. It's not the best, but it has a chance. We are currently lacking the charge in order to debuff them, so we're not going to go for the red attack just yet. And more bind. Bind is always good after all. If I could get the resources in order to activate our spider, that would certainly be... Oh yes, Gregor, finally! You won your clash! But if I could get the resources to activate our spider, that would certainly be quite helpful. Especially since we're going to go for the actual bind really soon. Actually speaking, I haven't even checked how many waves do we have for this fight? Probably 2 again. Yes, it's always 2. Okay, just wanted to make sure about that. Okay, this is gonna be enough to kill. That's also going to be enough to kill. How much do I even need for the spider? I could activate the second one. Oh, I need so much red. This is gonna be an issue at some point. Nevertheless, this guy is going to die either way, so we're going to go for green. I guess we're going to start working on our spider skill. A bit more charge would be preferred. Let's go for the safer option. This one is still a bit tricky, but we'll see if with enough orange support we might be able to win that after all. Oh no. Oh no. It wasn't enough because this thing is so unlucky. Are you kidding me? Come on, I know we don't really have that much sanity, but at the very least we have a bit of a better result than that. Look at her! She was able to beat him just fine. And now Heatcliff comes around to finish him off. And then the fourth guy is also dead. You were supposed to do that as well, he's saying. Okay, now we have 5 of them. Well, that shouldn't really be an issue. Let's go with this one first. 12 is good enough. I would love to get paralysis. Should I go for that? Sure, why not? We're going to get a bunch of gloom either way. Should I... yeah, let's stick with gloom. I need more dark blue. On the other hand, I need to make sure that our green attack is able to win. And here, I guess we're just going to swap over to the Christmas event. Yeah, 25 is certainly going to be enough to win. And hey, technically speaking, once this passive is triggered, we have a chance, we have a decent chance of getting more bleed count on everyone. Even though, once again, bleed usually never really sticks, like always. But we can hope it also boosts up paralysis, right? It also boosts up paralysis and I think bind as well, which is going to be very, very handy, right? Especially once we ever have a chance to fight a fight that's long enough for us to use the spider. I'm still waiting for that moment when we can actually make use of her spider heal ability. I think I need to kill somebody in order to trigger it. Or I need to inflict stagger. Something along those lines. Right, Heatcliff? Somewhere along those lines. Oh, he got a stagger with 59. Okay, that's a very good start. That's going to be enough to kill it. Might want to go for the ego after all in order to ensure that he's able to win that clash. That guy wouldn't really make a difference no matter which attack I pick. But if I go for dark blue, I can boost up my Hormuz attack to the maximum, which is going to be really, really handy. Okay. First guy down. Is it going to be enough to finish him off? Probably not. But it's certainly going to make it easier for my Ryoshu to win clashes. Let's be serious, that's usually the most important debuff on that skill, right? Certainly. So... Wait a second, he got to the 3rd dice even though he had so much bleed. I guess it only checks the bleed count at the start of the clash. Which is really good, because that attack actually is able to dish out quite a lot of bleed potency on its own, as long as the enemy doesn't have any bleed to begin with, as you can see. And if it can only be around 4 bleed, after that it just doesn't work anymore. Which is a shame, because I really love that skill, if it hits 4 times. Oh well. So, guys, are you finally coming down? I mean, we did fight a wave of enemies. We don't really have to repeat this, right? We were here for a party! A party! Right? Good. Now I'll separate the bones from your flesh and personally introduce you to your own skull. Oi, lads! And who was that now? A casual yet powerful voice booms across the hall, immediately breaking the tension in the room. Okay. I was gone for just a minute to get some waters, and what the hell happened here? This is one freaking mana, eh? Would have been faster to go bucket a cup of water from the well myself. Boss, we have a guest. So, that's the boss, huh? Yes, Executive Manager. It is immediately obvious from the way he walked, from the way he carried himself, that he is someone quite experienced in combat. Oh. Right on time. Your lackeys are lacking. How could they let this group of no-name hooligans knock them to their asses? Go on, show them the meaning of pain. Looks like I've got to give my man some proper demonstration. The boss confidently struts toward Heatcliff. Then... Gave him a playful smack on the back of his head? What is going on? Oi, lad! Ain't the first thing you do when crawling back into your neighborhoods to give you a quick hello to your old dear boss. Boss? Where did you leave your manners? Heatcliff, were you once part of this group? And they just fought you blindly? Huh? You lot, wipe that stupefied look from your face and bow before him. Come on, hurry up. Show some bloody respect. I guess if he once worked for them, he might have been their senior? What? No, it can't be. The men waded past both the aftermath of the ball and the heavy tension that filled the manor like he was out on a stroll. He just walked into the middle of it all and puts his arm around Heatcliff's shoulder. It was the kind of friendly gesture that only someone who'd known Heatcliff for a long, long time could do. Who the heck? Heatcliff! Now that I think about it, you never actually mention anything about your past or your previous workplace, right? I mean, he did mention that he used to visit a bar and a club. Interesting. Well, let's end a fight relatively quickly, right? And now we meet the girl, Catherine. Okay then. Oh, that picture's great. I'm totally going to pick that for the thumbnail. Boss? Matthew? Oh my freaking god! Okay, now that looks adorable. Even though the mask is still kind of creepy. Right on, you muppet! You've been gone for so long that people don't even recognize the infamous Matt Corney. Matt Corney? You've known that vagrant for so long? Why haven't you told me so? Well, I hardly imagine you'd be interested in hearing about every little friend that I made back when we were just another gang rolling in the sweaty, muddy streets. Boss, why are you working with this blighter? Wait, no, but that mask, those rabbit ears. Wait, you're still with the dead rabbits? Yeah, we changed the tad, huh? Remember, lad, back in the days, all we needed to crack some Adams family's head was some tattered scarf around one arm and a bottle of beer on tap. We even named one of the beers after you, didn't we? The pub that used to sell that beer closed the shop a few weeks ago. Ain't got much business around here with that dreadful rumor keeping everyone home nowadays. Ah, the kidnapping, right? What? The Wolf's Fallen closed? Ah, bloody hell. Wolf's Fallen? Oh, I'm suppose I'm leaving you all out of the loop, yeah? Yes. Well, allow me to introduce the Gaffer. He was the boss of the old syndicate that I used to run with. They are all friends of yours, eh? Tried some push proper company after running out on us, out of nowhere, did ya? Well, things just worked out that way. Ah, all them lads and ladies are your lackeys, eh? Blimey got a fucking timepiece with you too, you draft bastard. You've certainly moved up in the world, eh? Lackeys? Oh, I mean we could play along for now. Ladies, right, come on, it's his family reunion. Please, we could play along. Lackeys. Ismael glared at Heatcliff with a look that could kill, but she decided to hold her silence and merely shook her head in disbelief. She probably decided that this was not worth the trouble. Yeah? So, what's up with the mask, boss? What? Is it odd? Trends change with time, lad. The time for scarves with rabbits' embodiments is long past. Is that so? It looks a bit... Course not! Who do you think we are? We dead rabbits ain't bookish rabbits that follow the coattail of some naff trend. You have really not once returned to this place since you left, have you? No. When I left this manor, and eventually the dead rabbits, I made a promise to myself that I will not return, not even a step closer to this place, until I've made something of myself. Not until I can return as a successful man. Well, we've always hated this place, even when you were one of us. I've got news for you, Heatcliff. We are no longer the same lowly backstreet gangs you're familiar with. I suppose we've also moved up in the world. Someone from the rings who've been keeping their eyes on us plucked us right off the streets and into their fold. We are bigger now. We're one of the upper and coming syndicates. The Ring. Is the Ring the reason that you have to change your tier into those masks instead of scarves? Maybe? I think the Kurokuma clan once mentioned that they also had to change their style a bit. Once they joined the thumb, right? The Ring? One of the fingers? Must be the Fauvist of the Ring then. They're the only one who would outfit the underlings with these cheap, tracky animal masks. Then you're... Yeah, you little shit. I'm the top boss of the dead rabbits now. A boss? Remember what you always used to say when we've each filled up with more than 3 bottles of beer? What we drank was some lousy beer made from a halfway rotten weed, Heatcliff. All that I remember comes from the next morn was a pondering headache and the light feeling of our emptied pockets. You used to tell me that it would hurt like hell every time one of your own men came back to us hurt. Even the recruits. Like they hurt not just any underling, but an extension of you. I knew you would make it big one day, boss. Well, I suppose the drunk me knew how to vex poetry. Or poetic. I knew it was you, Matthew. The mask threw me off for a moment, boss. Oh, what a sorry sight this is. I sincerely apologize to you two sweethearts for crushing your tearful reunion. But the point is, while you were wandering the streets, wasting away the best years of your lives on the road, Matt's made something of himself, which is why I hired him as my bodyguard. You hear me? Not like you and your mere bands of no-name, second-rated hooligans. Wow. I could think of more than a few sinners who would have gotten angry enough to brandish their weapon at such an insult. But they all seem to remember that responding to such insult with violence only begot pointless tumult, so instead they all began siding heavenly in an attempt to vent some of their pent-up anger. Hindley, you seem to be sorely mistaken. This isn't the same winter you trashed me, treated me like an intemperate servant, and abused me like a hound. I won't deny that I spent many days and nights imagining tearing that foul tongue off your gob. But Heatcliff glanced briefly in our direction. Even a proper sot like myself found a place to belong, went on an adventure to places you couldn't even imagine, learning a thing or two from them. So I just feel bad for you, mate. Wow, what? Because you really haven't changed one bit. Besides, the hell is that rag you're wearing? You look more like a drifting vagabond than I do. What? You insolent fool! That man's been saying some pretty nasty stuff about us. But he doesn't even look like someone that's worth arguing with. Mate, did you even check yourself in the mirror in the last week? I can't bear to look at you so down in the dumpsters, Hindley. Of course, we had no way of knowing what Hindley looked like in the past, but we could pretty easily tell that he was far from the most stable person in the room. Yeah, his coat is kind of slashed apart. There are dirty spots everywhere. He didn't even bother to comb his hair or tie his ribbon. And not even that part is properly tucked into his pants. Interesting. Oh my god, there's even a hole in the glove. What happened to that guy? What happened? Did you get robbed on your way? Is that the reason why you got a bodyguard? Interesting. You freaking bastard. Now, Mr. Hindley. Why don't you seat yourself on the sofa and calm down, Be more considerate of your boys standing in that corner, watching the whole thing go down, huh? They don't even get these comfy-looking leather sofas, right? So, Hindley grumbled for a moment before slumping down on the sofa. And even that simple action was stumbling and pathetic. Wow. I see what happened. He let the alcohol consume him, and not the other way around. Fell into a big, nasty barrel with no way out. I've seen the same look on some sailors. Failing to pull themselves out of a habit would lead them straight into the merciless maws of the lake. Not even a trace of them would be left. Oh. Well, this man's still my client. Mr. Hindley hired me for some job, which is why I'm here at Wuthering High. A job? Catherine is hosting this banquet, ain't she? What kind of job could possibly need a dead rabbit's help here? What? A banquet? Well, I suppose there's one thing that hasn't changed with time. It's the same witless, useless, idiot brain of yours. You absolute dullard. Is it not a party? I mean, it kind of sounded like a party, right? Hindley, please cease this at once, I implore you. I do not wish to see my manners sullied by such foul obstinance. This is not your home, Linton. It's mine. It's my manor. You're the one who sullied this noble Wuthering High, my birthright bestowed upon me by father, by taking it from me by the means of trickery. Was your own family manor too small for you, Linton Edgar? Your oh so noble Edgar family? Edgar? The time for whining and crying and throwing a tantrum to get what you want is long past. Is he sick? Might be the dust. Bold words for some mix-up who's about to shock himself to death on the air. Please maintain your distance, Mr. Hindley. I've seen mongrel more loyal than you lot. I was your master only a few years ago. Have you cast aside your memories as well when you did your loyalty? Cease this at once, Master Hindley. The Butlers have all left Hindley Earnsville behind, as you're well aware yourself. And you too, Butlers. We do not want to make further trouble here. Understood, Chief Butler Nelly. What is going on? Did he become the heir or something? Huh? After a brief silence, Heatcliff finally brought up the question he's been stewing for so long. Nelly, where is Catherine? You must know, Nelly, that Catherine never did like these commotions. So many guests making so much noise in her home. She won't be pleased. I suppose she never did. I've been keeping my volume in check because I didn't want it to offend her. But it's getting harder and harder to keep it down. Oh. There was a look of unfathomable, immeasurable grief on both Linton and Nelly. Hindley was absent-minded, mumbling some foul language at the ceiling. And Heatcliff probably sensed from this ineffable dark and ominous silence that something was terribly wrong. It was setting in for us as well. After all we've been through in this journey, this kind of silence was all too familiar. Where's Catherine? What's with this dull look on everyone? I'm terribly sorry, Heatcliff. Why? Why are you sorry? What the hell are you sorry about? Did something happen to the girl? Heatcliff, I may have a correct assumption as to what the silence indicates. So I have no other choice but to tell you, as it is common courtesy to do so, that I'm very sorry to hear that. What the fuck? Can't you talk normally for once? I hardly know how to tell you this, but Miss Catherine isn't here anymore. So it is a funeral after all. I was kind of joking on that part. I mean, I don't know that many parties. You have the usual party, the birthday party, the wedding, the funeral. Right? And maybe the extra wedding parties once you reach a certain part of year. I kind of hope that maybe the abusive father was dead and this is all a meeting for the sake of who is going to get which split. Not hers! She even wrote it into the invitation. How can you write something if she's... How does that work? What do you mean she's not Catherine? How did you write the invitation? She wrote the invitation! Did she die after that? Did she wrote it and die? Was she dead sick or something? But then again, she did say that she wanted for Heatcliff to come. Oh no! Oh no! So that part that was removed from the letter was the sickness. Oh, this is messed up. This is really messed up. Oh, Heatcliff! Linton looked up at Heatcliff. His eyes were bloodshot. As he said earlier, none of us are here to see each other's ugly mugs. What other reason could we possibly have to reconvey like this? I mean, it could have been anything, right? Oh, this is not good. That can't be real. What kind of insane... Now, the fixers of the Ulfi Association, who had remained silent throughout the entire commotion, suddenly spoke up. The promised hour has come. Mr. Hindley Earnshaw, a blood relative of the deceased. Mr. Linton Edgard, the spouse of the deceased. And Mr. Heatcliff, an individual mentioned by name in the will. Weren't they brothers and sisters? He did mention that he grew up here. Huh. Now that the three relative parties are all present, we as the executors of the deceased will may begin the ceremony. The first order of business will be the execution of Miss Catherine's will. Thus commencing the solemn occasion of Miss Catherine's funeral rite, as per the deceased wishes. The will shall be read out loud here, at Miss Catherine's manor, in attendance of all those present. Then... No. You... Stop! Shut up for a second! Whose funeral rite? And... what? What's that about her spouse? The man they called Linton rose from his seat for the first time since we arrived here. After you abandoned this place with nary a word to her, Catherine immediately turned to me. Then we married. Every waking hour we spent together were filled with happiness and joy. We were happy to the very last day, to our very last breath. Shut your stupid gob! The moment I set my foot in this manor, I heard her voice. I felt her presence. So what the bloody hell are you even talking about? What do you mean with her voice? And presence? This has to be some ploy. These fucking bastards, they must have... This can't... Heatcliff paused for a moment, struggling to find the words. This can't be how it ends. I won't believe a single shit coming out of your mouths until I see her body with my own eyes. Where is she? Bring her here now! What a repulsive sight. The least you could have done was to show some proper respect for the dead. But I suppose even that is the bare minimum. Was too much to expect from someone like... Are you also dying? I understand how you feel, Heatcliff. So please, calm yourself and take a seat. Get your hands off me! You can't just decide for me that she's dead! I won't accept any of this! Not until I see carefully with my own... Warning. Should this interruption to this will reading continue, we may have to resort to use of force to ensure the full execution of this will. Shut up! You don't know shit! So shut your fucking mouth! Heatcliff was gasping. The sheer momentum of emotion overwhelmed him. It looked as though he was about to lunge at everyone who even dared to get close. I could hardly tell whether it was sorrow or wrath that came over him. Heatcliff, why don't you go and have a look in the mirror yourself? What a pathetic mess you've become. It doesn't matter what posh garb plebs like you robe yourself in. That filth from your low birth seeps right through the fabric at the slightest provocation. You will eventually see Catherine's corpse, alright? It's all part of the funeral's procedures, so don't be in such a hurry to get there. I can't wait to see how well she's resting after what she's done to me. Mr. Hindley Earnshaw, Mr. Heatcliff, we order that both of you immediately return to your seat. This is your final warning. Mr. Squire, we must do an odd. Fixers of the Fairies Association may even execute those individuals should there be a breach of contract. I ill wish to see Heatcliff be executed. Nor do I wish to have to battle the honorable fixers of the Fairies Association. Well, I agree with Don. There's no need for us to get involved into unnecessary conflict, but I don't think Heatcliff is going to listen to us at this point. I don't even know if there's anyone who could talk Heatcliff down when he's that agitated. You have refused to comply. Oh. We had no choice but to watch as the fixers of the Fairies Association struck Heatcliff with their weapons. He fell to his knees with a painful cry. J.S. Do speak. Not you, he sang. Speak still, your intention notwithstanding. You stop, all of you. Something is off about this whole thing. Would you like to speak for this individual? Was what she's going to say, but she decided to remain silent in favor of not getting into trouble. Right? Ha! What are you doing, buck guy? Yeah, sure, I understand that seeing your fellow sinner getting smacked around like that can be pretty aggravating, but come on. Once you get involved, peace will simply no longer be an option. Didn't know you care so much about Heatcliff, for your sure. NC. Ryosha flickered a cigarette indefinitely, as though she was no longer interested. No comment. You bastards! God, they ripped his suits apart! Fine, let's crack some skulls then, shall we? Heathcliff stumbled to his feet with a club in his hand, glaring at everyone that stood before him. I see that you still refuse to comply, despite your initial attempt. Should you refuse to let go of your weapon within the next minute, we will have no choice but to escalate to our next step. Couldn't care less about your steps. Give me Catherine, or none of us are leaving this manor alive. You lot, me, we're all going 6 feet under. Heathcliff! Shut it, Glockhead! This ain't the time to bring up shit like company's rules or something like that. Stay out of my way! Oh, I don't have anything to say. If someone that important to me died, I'd be blinded and deafened to all reasons too, so... Hey, Heat, I understand how angry and frustrated you must be, but you can't... Shut your trap! All of you! Don't you dare touch me unless you want your face carved in! It's nap time, Heathcliff. Okay. Whoa. Did she just knock him out cold with her bare hands? And it wasn't even a punch. It was just a light tap. His breathing is stable. It appears that she gave the nerve on the back of his head a precise, focused strike, which led to his loss of consciousness. What a flawless execution of that move. I can certainly say that I've seen something like that before. Reminds me of my family's... So Heathcliff has been defeated with a single fell strike? Every self-respect butler has to be equipped with one of such moves. What other choice have we got when the child fusses and fusses for 20 hours instead of going to sleep? Forsooth, I can say with quite a confidence that I can immediately slumber to the dreamlands upon tucking myself in bed, for true. Though it was not by his own volition, we have confirmed that he is no longer in possession of a weapon and has been subdued. We will allow for a 10-minute recess to let things calm down for a moment. Then we will proceed as planned. Excuse me, Lady Nellie? Lady Nellie? No need for such ramifications. Please, just call me Nellie. The contractors that Mr. Linton Edgar brought, they once worked at this manor, right? Yes, indeed. Some butlers from the Earnshaw, like myself, followed Miss Catherine to Master Linton's. Of course, most of Master Linton's butlers are from his own Edgar family. So, if he gives the order to attack us, Lady Nellie would... Oh, pish-posh, ridiculous. I was a butler in direct service of Miss Catherine. Young Master Linton could plead and beg all he wants, but I won't always be taking his side. So, what exactly are the butlers? Butlers? Forsooth, I'm quite well acquainted with this matter. They are house dogs on tight leash, groveling before their masters. The most trustworthy and loyal people I've ever known, I would say. Fixers bound to families. Nice, gotcha. Some great help you fellas are. Right, 3 different descriptions, but I guess all of them are quite fitting. Well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one out of the loop for once. At least some of you know who we butlers are. It is a rather rare occupation, so not many people even know that we exist. Doesn't sound like some normal folks would have had the reason to know anything about them. Unless they're in a position where they have no choice but to work at a rich folk's home. Well, one of us is quite a passionate fan of fixers. Quite. Oh, I'm very pleased to know that our dear Heathcliff made some very intelligent friends. Oh, intelligent? Lady Nellie! I promised thee that once I make my return to the bus, I shall have my hands on the Butler figurines I had given up on Antiquary. It shall stand tall and proud at the most front row display of my shelves. Okay, Dun's eyes were practically exploding with joy at having her fixer obsession possibly acknowledged and accepted for once. Allow me to explain. Butlers are fixers indeed, yet they are rather distinctive from most fixers thou hast encountered thus far. A fixer often refer to those who accept contracts as part of the association or office. Alas, there exists a distinction when it comes to butlers. Butlers join families and manors to serve them, and only them. A long-term contract, forsooth, like any other fixers. Butlers may be hired by a single person to serve them, and only them as well. Do note that our service is not limited to combat. We also conduct household management and care as well. It must also be mentioned that proficiency in many fields is a necessity to be a respectable butler. This is no easy occupation, mind you. Yet, from what I've learned, to hire a butler is to pay an inordinary amount of salary. Indeed, while butlers are always oh so busy, we are promised expensive compensation in every contract and extension, with a stable bonus such as pension. Many famous association fixers also retired to serve as butlers as well. I was once a butler in service of Miss Catherine's family, and was transferred to Master Linton's Edgecott's family to join their ranks when she married him. Still, after a rather peaceful, mutuated debate, we came to the conclusion that I would be assuming the position of chief butler, leader of the butlers in that household. Mutual debate. Why do I get the feeling that you guys fought in some kind of death match? Huh? Why do I get the feeling of that? Ah, gotcha! Totally peaceful. I'm sure it really was one peaceful transfer of power. Yeah, totally. Oh, this is quite fascinating to imagine that even Sir Heatcliff once had been a tiny brain. How was he at this age? Well, he was quite a special child. I do not believe that I would have become a chief butler had I not been with him. Oh, what a lovely boy he was. Lovely. Quite. Uh-huh. Was he really such a lovely boy? I mean, we don't really see that at this... A ghost. Oh no. Oh no. And I see staircase to the basement. No. No, not another basement. Let's go upwards. There is not much room upwards, but let's go upwards. We don't need to go down, right? Sinclair. Oh no. Sinclair is going to get PTSD. Oh yeah. But, okay, I would say this is a perfect moment to make a little cut. In the next part, I guess we're going to go ghost hunting around here, huh? In this, rather destroyed mansion. Yeah, it seems to be relatively dusty. Not entirely sure, did he even live in this place? They did say that they followed the Edgar family, right? Would also explain why they had to clean up this place in a haste. But I have to say, how comes that Linton didn't get access to this manor? Because it seems like he was kind of kicked out once Catherine married Edgar? And Edgar became the new heir of this whole family? But where's Heatcliff in this whole thing? He grew up in this place. Wasn't he adopted at least? Which means that they would have been brothers and sisters. Huh. Well, I guess we're going to figure more about that out once we see a couple more chapters of the story. Probably. Right? Nevertheless. I hope you guys had fun, and see you in the next part. Until then, bye bye!